Well, good. Thank you very much. Thank you for always following us. Thank you for subscribing to keep following what we are talking about. And I hope these conversations have been helpful. We've done series of conversations. We've talked about your goals. We've talked about dreams. We've talked about fleshing out those goals. We've talked about change. We've talked about resistance, which is common everywhere we go, whether we ignore it, whether we look at it differently, we're always facing a resistance. And this resistance might even be coming from how we view things, how we perceive the things we are trying to do. And so I believe it's been a helpful journey for you to this point. And so today I'm going to talk about something that for me, the first time I came across this, for a moment, I was like, hey, is this one of those motivational speeches or there's something going on here? And really, the conversation was, who says I can't? I don't know what comes to mind when someone asks you, who says you can't? And you're probably not thinking about the motivational speaker who made you jump off the table. And then I got some quote, I think it was on Facebook when I was seeing it. Our motivational speaker could not come today because he could not get out of bed. And motivational speaking sometimes people look for such things, but sometimes those doesn't keep us going. And so when I listened to this thing, first I was like, are you now again throwing me into one of these motivational speaking? But then I started thinking about it. Who says I can't do something? Who says I can't overcome a resistance? Who says I can't grow myself? Who says I can't sit down and look at the 10 categories that we've been talking about and pick on one to work on? Who says I can't do that? And I remember I saw one of the comments of the people that have been watching. I saw a comment, someone saying, sometimes you can lump up everything and feel depressed, how your life is not moving, how things are not working. But really, if you break down, you realize there's something good somewhere. There's something that is happening. One sector, it could be family, things are good. It could probably your spiritual life, things are good. It could probably your social life, you have amazing friends. And so sometimes when you don't break it like that, you don't divide it like that, you probably will think how your life is very miserable and depressing. It's a tool. And this tool, there are two things when you think about who says you can't. One of them, is it a prohibition? Is this something prohibiting you? Is it an enforced restriction? And this could be a policy thing. It could be a law of the land. It could be a requirement. And that maybe that requirement for a moment is external and is restricting you from doing something. And it's very good to ask yourself, whatever it is stopping me from moving forward, is it an enforced restriction? If you are driving, if you are riding a bike, or if you are, whatever it is, you're moving and you want to cross the road, and in that area, there is a restriction, you can't cross the road. You can't all of a sudden decide to break that rule. Or if you're driving and you are told the speed limit is only 50, if you're driving above that, you're breaking the restriction. There's a restriction. There's something external stopping you from doing what you'd otherwise do. And so it's very good to understand that. Is this a prohibition? Or is it an inhibition? And this is a lot more trickier and a lot more ingrained and a lot more deeper to think about. Because most of us, it's our own internal self-limiting beliefs that makes us think we are not good enough. I can't do that. I can't succeed. I can't do something. My aunt said this about me. My aunt said nothing good will ever come out of our place. And so for that reason, that got ingrained in my life. And so all my life I keep feeling I can't rise beyond this. I can't do this. Or fear. It could just be out of fear. And sometimes fear can make us. I remember once I was working in Kawangware and there was a ditch. And this ditch, every day I came, I jumped over it. Every day I came, I jumped over this ditch. But then this one day I was carrying my laptop in my bag. And this was way back. This must have been 2008, 2009. And really, it was my first ever laptop to own. So I was very cautious about it and all these things. So I was carrying this laptop. And when I reached this ditch, there was water flowing. And when I reached this ditch, all of a sudden, fear came in. And I felt like I couldn't jump over this ditch. And I started wondering, oh my God, my laptop will fall in water. And so the thought of my laptop falling in water gripped me with fear, that then jumping over this ditch became a conversation I started having in my head. Do I jump? Do I not? Do I go around? And then finally I decided to jump. And guess what? I didn't jump very well. And the bag kind of fell in the water. So you'd imagine this ditch that ordinarily when I would walk without a bag or without anything, I would always cross. Because this day I had something I felt I needed to protect, something I felt I needed to shield. All of a sudden this ditch became something I couldn't cross. And for you, I don't know how that might play out for you. Maybe you have this reputation you don't want to lose. You don't want people to see you as someone who fails at things. Or you have this particular thing about you that you don't want to let go. And so for that reason, you don't want to spoil your name. You don't want people to categorize you as this person who keeps whatever that means for you. And so, what is it that you're protecting so much that is making you start being afraid to do some things? Maybe that's a reflection you want to think over. Or you have your own limiting belief of worry. You're worried about some things. And you keep on worrying about, what if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't work? What if I don't jump? What if I don't succeed? What if I don't? What if I don't? And that just becomes something that makes you not move. And so the question that I'd like to ask us, even as we think through this, what is that limiting belief? Is it fear? Is it worry? Is it feeling that you're not good enough? Is it feeling that maybe you don't have what it takes? Is it feeling that probably because of what people have said about you, you are not the one to do that thing? Maybe someone else should do it. And I want you to look at this as just another motivational, but I want you to look at this and reflect in your life. What are the things that you've not done because of internal self-limiting beliefs? I want you to reflect on those things. Is it because of what? And you can fill in the gap. I have not done this because dash, you fill in the gap. Maybe you've not started selling this thing you're supposed to be selling because you're afraid to fail. Maybe you've not started rolling out this plan that you had because you're afraid it will not work. Maybe you've not talked to this person, you've not had this conversation with this person because you're afraid of what they'll think about you. And in your head, you're full of, what will they think of me? What if I say this and they think badly about me? What if I say this? What is the worst that could happen? I know this is easier said than done, but what is the worst that could happen? I have a friend of mine who says for her, it's rejection for breakfast. And for her, she doesn't mind. She will speak to you, whether you reject her or not. It's up to you. Whether you say no to what she's talking about, it's up to you. And so, our conversation today is, and this tool today is, who says you can't? Is it a prohibition or is it an inhibition? If it is an inhibition, I want you to really interrogate that and ask yourself the difficult question. What is it exactly in that inhibition that is stopping you from rolling out, from implementing your grand and wonderful ideas about your growth, about your journey, about the things you'd like to do in this year? And if you've probably not been able to think around all this, maybe it's high time you think seriously about this, because as it is, you don't want to live a wasted life wishing you did something about your situation. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen and watch this, and I hope that this adds into the tools that you can use to help you reflect. And occasionally in the morning, maybe it's a tool you look at and say, who says I can't have a wonderful day today? Is it a prohibition or is it an inhibition? Thank you very much, and see you in our next video.